NSA raised the bar requirements. There's a principle called RAIN, RAIN, which the R stands for redundant, right? And those are where you need required redundant filters. The A is the always invoked, right? So it means basically when you're there, you're going to always invoke those filters. And then I is independent. And then the N is non-bypassable. I had to think about that one for a while.
All right, let's get it. Welcome to Chatting with Chief, hosted by Backpack Technologies LLC, a place where we talk about some of the hottest buzzwords and concerns in the IT and cyber worlds. Today's guest is Joe Collette from Forcepoint, and I'm your host, Jason Blair from Backpack Technologies LLC. Joe is a retired Army Chief Warrant Officer whose assignments include the 93rd Signal Brigade, the 3rd Infantry Division G6, and many others. If you want to check him out, just go to his LinkedIn. Well, we're here to talk about a need that sometimes goes under the radar, and that is, how can I put it? If you ever needed information from one environment or domain or classification and you're working on another one, well, then this podcast here is for you. And that solution that we're talking about today is called Cross-Domain Solutions, or CDS. But before we jump right into that, let's meet today's guest. Hey, Joe. Nice to see you again, buddy. How you been?
Good, brother. It's good seeing you again as well. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving and getting ramped up here for Christmas in a couple of weeks.
Thanksgiving was good. Had family in town. We did a lot of, things that we, ate a lot. Went to a comedy show, but it was good. It was good. So can you introduce yourself a little bit and tell me what you do over there at Forcepoint?
Sure. So at Forcepoint right now, I'm a senior sales engineer. So basically, I'm helping out our account managers out in the sales field, out talking to our customers, helping explain the technology a little bit more, providing, proofs of concepts, demos, things like that to help, better illustrate how our technology works. I've been with Forcepoint now for 4 years. We're actually so we're still technically called Forcepoint, but the government side of our business just recently was sold off. We're going to be standing up our new company here. The new name should be out probably within a month's time. We expect to have our new name. So technically I am still with Forcepoint, but the next time you folks see me at a show or somewhere, I'll have some type of different logo, some type of different name on, but yeah, that's kind of what I do for Forcepoint.
Okay, yeah, I've seen a lot of that stuff happen before. You'll probably have a Forcepoint polo on and a different banner above the booth or something like that. But we'll get the gist. So, cross-domain solutions. Can you tell me? Can you walk me through what it is?
So we'll start with like kind of the book definition. Since I'm retired, we're both retired Army. I cover a lot of Army. So the Army kind of references DAPAM 25-2-1. And to quote it, I don't want to misquote it here, it is a controlled interface that provides the ability to manually or automatically access or transfer information between security domains. So what that basically means is it's a means, like it says, to either access data. So we have cross-domain access solutions that allow you to, basically access multiple domains from a single device, or transfer, which for most people who think about cross-domain, that's more typically probably what they think about, is being able to transfer data, from high to low, low to high. But basically, those are the two types of different cross-domain solutions that are out there. There are a couple other categories that the PAM gets into, but for the most part, those are the main two.
So for the people that wasn't in the Army, what does DAPAM stand for?
I feel like I'm at a promotion board. No, it's so DA, Department of the Army, and PAM is just for pamphlet, right? DA pamphlet, Department of the Army pamphlet. You make me say it all out, but yeah, it's things that reference material, those guidance that are published out there, the DA PAMs of the world.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I point that out because hopefully this platform reaches more than just Army
Good
viewers,
point.
And if somebody's in the Navy or somebody that wants to do business with the Army, at least now they have like a little tie into some of the stuff that we read, and it's not a very enjoyable read at that, right? So
Yeah,
All right. So,
good bedtime read material.
oh yeah, definitely. It definitely. You don't need any of those sleeping meds. You just whip out an army tech manual or a pamphlet. You'll be knocked right out. So, what are some of the benefits of implementing CDS? Like, say to well, I guess to the government or to the DoD.
Okay, so we'll just kind of break it down by category, the two categories of transfer and access. So
Okay.
transfer, I think the benefit you're going to get there is kind of how we mentioned. We said manual or automatic transfer of data to automate that process. You think of the old way. Some people probably are familiar with the term sneaker net, right? Where you've had to either take information, burn it to a CD, or like the swivel chair method, where you're getting information off of one domain, swiveling over to another domain to input that information. So with a cross-domain transfer solution, you're basically able to either manually or automate the process of doing that. So that would be kind of the advantage, I guess, for transfer. On the access side, I mean, there's again an access solution. It's where you're going to be able to access multiple security domains from a single device. So that right there tells you, there's going to be savings on your hardware and then also your infrastructure, right? So you don't have to have a desktop or laptop or whatever for every single network that you need, that you're operating on. You can now go down to the single device. It's a single wire, to the desk. So your infrastructure costs are going to be reduced. You don't have to have as much, networking gear for all the different networks within your local LAN, right? You can just kind of have that one single network that your clients are connected up to. So I guess with our solution, it kind of works with VDI on the back end, virtual desktop infrastructure, and that itself, has many benefits. And not having to go out and touch every computer every time you need to do updates or whatever. You're just doing all your updates there, at the back end on the images. And then having no data at rest on your endpoints is another, security wise, obviously, not having that data at rest makes it a bit of a viable solution for scenarios where, like our remote product, which leverages commercial solutions for classified for transport. Folks were during COVID needed, these types of devices where they could work from home. And so it basically, you have a device at home, there's already some concern there, especially if you're accessing some of the higher classification networks. So not having data at rest on that device, can kind of sleep a little better, I guess, at night, knowing that, once I shut down, disconnect, and, that device doesn't have that data on there anymore. So I think those kind of highlight some of the benefits of both access and transfer cross-domain solutions.
You know, I'm a big supporter of VDI. I mean, look, as long as you have proper, I say, bandwidth and end user security, whether it's on your end or wherever you getting the services from. When it comes to work, or school, I mean, to me, that's the best solution. And I'm sorry I went down that tirade, but it kind of highlights my next question, right? So briefly, can you tell me some of the key features of CDS? I think we was kind of chatting about that before we actually started recording. Can you talk about some of the key features?
Let's talk about transfer. I think with transfer features, you probably want to say one thing that's not really, I guess, a feature, but for both transfer and access, right? Having a solution that's raised the bar compliant, I kind of almost look at that as a feature, because obviously if you're going to implement cross-domain solution into your environment and it's not compliant, then NSA is probably going to come down and say, hey, that has to come out. So having something when you put it in your environment, knowing that it's compliant, you're not going to have to worry about having to rip it out because it's not compliant, is obviously a benefit, not necessarily a feature, but I'd say that's more of a benefit. Performance, one of the things that, like one of our solutions can do is we can actually do some of the encoding on the box for like full motion video, whereas some other solutions you may have to have off the box GPUs to do that. So I think that would be kind of a feature I'd look for. And as far as for transfer, performance is the biggest one, I think. With access solution, the features I think you're going to want there are probably scalability. I think is probably the one that comes to mind the most, right? Having a solution, that allows you that scales to whatever your needs are, right? Whether that's a very small
Hmm.
enterprise or up to a very large enterprise. And a lot of folks may only be a small enterprise, but again, this kind of goes back to scalability. Will my small enterprise, what if I need to connect with a larger enterprise? How can I do that in a manner that's not going to necessarily disrupt my normal workflow? So I think a solution that can provide that scalability, right, to scale all the way up from a small to a very large enterprise would be a great feature. Some of the other features, I think, this kind of gets into a little bit of future stuff, but being able to not only connect to on-prem VDI backends, but also now that a lot of folks are going to the cloud, they're offloading a lot of those workloads to the cloud, including their desktop services. So being able to connect to a desktop service such as Microsoft Azure Virtual Desktop, AVD, I think is a great feature, especially a lot of folks out there who don't want to manage VDI. There's a manage burden that comes with VDI that you have to be able to have the admins there to be able to manage that. So a lot of folks may not want to take that on. So having something like AVD provide your desktop service, but still being able to connect that to your cross-domain access, because you still may have other networks, right, that you still need access to. But maybe you get a couple on-prem VDIs from whatever those networks are, but you do a single one up from the cloud, from like an AVD type scenario.
Okay. So one thing I was thinking about, we also talked about this before we jumped on camera, was we mentioned diodes and the ability to actually scan documents, right? So a little bit of the technical aspect of CDS, right? I don't know, I'm not very versed in the whole CDS and what's out there. If it's just proprietary to you in Forcepoint, I still think it's something that we kind of want to know. Like if I'm organization that's looking to invest in the CDS, I also want to make sure that my information is protected. I mean, my environment is protected, right, from these different things going across, especially if I'm doing transfer. Can you speak to that real quick?
Sure. So first, you kind of mentioned diodes there. So just so you know, a diode, for terminology, it's a one-way device, but because it's a one-way device, it's typically really not considered. You're seeing it in cross-domain architectures, but the diode itself is not cross-domain because it's typically only residing in a single domain. But what it does is protects your CDS from those threats that are typically on what they term high threat networks. And that's where you'll see diodes at. A lot of folks, because in the past, I believe they were allowed to kind of perform what are normal CDS functions are. So some folks just think they're a cross-domain device, but no longer, at least in the real world, in the government world, they're going to be allowed, right, as cross-domain. So, but to answer your question about documents and things like that, obviously one of the and I probably maybe should have mentioned this as one of the benefits when I talked about for transfer solutions is having good filtering solutions that are on there, right? Having redundant filter solutions is even better, because part of the NSA raised the bar requirements. There's a principle called RAIN, RAIN, which the R stands for redundant, right? And those are where you require redundant filters, because the theory there is if when the filter got compromised somehow, then in theory you could still go, hobble along with that one filter that was not compromised. The A is the always invoked, right? So it means basically when you're there, you're going to always invoke those filters. And then I is independent, right? They got to be independent, no dependency on anything else. And then the N is non-bypassable. I had to think about that one for a while. So yeah, basically it means, so not like the old days when we used to patch around things, bypass things. Yeah, the N is non-bypassable. So basically means you're not going to bypass that filter.
Yeah, you're not going to bypass it.
It's got to be there. Yeah.
No, that's good. I mean, we used to do that we used to do that all the time for we used to bypass the firewall all the time. Hey, look, I'm kind of
probably shouldn't be
showing my age.
We never bypass firewalls,
Oh,
Jason.
man.
Come on,
no, not at all, not at all, not at all. But so okay, Joe, I think we're pretty much at the end of this. But how can people get in contact with you? I know you already said that your company name is changing And so that means your domain may be changing, but at least how can people get a hold of you now? What's a better way that they can get a hold of you in the future?
Yeah, so for
In the
now, I
meantime.
mean, yeah, I would say just, look me up on LinkedIn is probably the best way because I'll keep that updated, maintained with my contact information. But in the meantime, I guess my email address is joe.collette, COLLETTE, at forcepointgov, all one word, .com. But again, probably LinkedIn's probably the best way to hit me up if we're not already connected. So feel free to
No,
reach
okay,
out.
okay. Absolutely. I think you'll find that there's a lot of people out there that had this problem set, don't know how to solve it, or just want to know more about it. So, hey Joe, I appreciate you coming on and spending some time with me and the great people out there. So I'll see you on the next one.
You bet. All right, Jason, good to see you, brother.
All right. Talk to you later.